Thank you, Dr. Poonam Khetpal Singh ji, all the other WHO CRO officials on the other side, and all our distinguished colleague ministers. I understand that we have Honorable Minister from Bangladesh there, Honorable Minister from Bhutan, Indonesia, Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Timor-Leste. They are all here with us, and I must, at the outset, congratulate World Health Organization and particularly the Southeast Asia Regional Office and its Regional Director, Dr. Poonam Khetpal Singh ji, for organizing this video conference. The other day we had an opportunity of listening to experiences of countries from other regions of the world, chaired by the Director General of WHO, and this is a great initiative on the part of WHO. And now we have the good opportunity of sharing the experience of from the ministers of our own region. I am sorry I joined late because for the last 3 hours or so, our Prime Minister, our Home Minister, our Defence Minister and myself, along with senior officials, we were having a video conferencing with all the chief ministers of the country and discussing in detail the prevailing situation and what more needs to be done in the country. So once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I would briefly describe what we have been able to do in India. I can only, can I have the first slide please? This is the slide which simply depicts that as soon as we got to know on 7th of January that China has informed the World Health Organization about the cases of pneumonia which they earlier thought as cases of unknown etiology, but they could actually established that there was a coronavirus, new strain of coronavirus which had affected the people in Wuhan city. The very next day on 8th of January itself in India, we organized our technical expert group meeting with all the top experts, and our Director General of Health Services chaired that meeting, and we started thinking about what could actually happen to the rest of the world or maybe India. In the next couple of days, we had formulated our detailed response plan for the whole country. And as this slide will depict, that on 17th January itself, we had issued very detailed instructions to all the states in the country about how do we handle, if at all there is an impending issue related to this virus's entry into the country. On the same day itself, that was 17th of January, we issued detailed travel advisories, and on 7 airports, 7 major international airports in the country, we started the point of entry screening, that's a thermal screening to actually locate if at all there were passengers who had some early symptoms of the disease who were entering India. Next, as we all know that on 30th of January, and then this was declared as an emergency of international concern by WHO also, and then recently they declared it on 11th of March as a pandemic. This is a slide which in fact shows that shows the cumulative and daily new cases as on today, and we can right now, as you can see, we have 1,834 cases in the country right now, and we can appreciate that there is a linear and non-exponential growth of positive cases in India. Things for the moment are under control, and the situation is responsive to our efforts. The next slide is about the number of deaths in the country. It is again showing a linear growth, and the majority of the cases that I want to wish to highlight the majority of the cases here, the death cases, they are all above 60, and they had comorbidities, like somebody had extensive diabetes, somebody had kidney failure, somebody had massive heart diseases. That's the general. And I have to inform my colleagues that most of the patients who are admitted right now, the positive cases, because every day I talk to all the health ministers of the various states in India, literally majority of the cases are stable. We ask them very specific questions: are they on ventilators, are they in ICUs, or are they on oxygen? But I feel happy to inform you that very few number, I would say insignificant numbers, we can call them as maybe serious or critical, but a large majority of them are stable. Then this is the next slide. This slide in fact shows that the Honorable Prime Minister of India has been monitoring our situation since the beginning of the whole, you can say, problem in India. Every cabinet meeting we had been discussing this. He had been having official review meetings, and in the early days of February, he constituted a group of ministers under my leadership, with the Minister of Aviation, Shipping, Home Affairs, External Affairs, etc. And since then we have had 10 meetings of the group of ministers. Our cabinet secretary has been taking regularly meetings over the last almost 3 months. We are completing next week with all the different ministries. They have been mentioned there: civil aviation, shipping, home affairs, external affairs, pharma, textile, tourism, industries, commerce and defense. We have been having regular video conferences with the health secretaries of all the states and all the relevant central ministries. Our technical joint monitoring group of experts, which met for the first time on 8th of January, has had 10 meetings since now. In the very beginning itself, I wrote to the Honorable Chief Ministers of the country and have been having regular video conferences with all the state health ministers. Almost every second, third day, I talk to every minister on the telephone. I have briefed the Parliament on 3-4 occasions about the situation in the country, and have been regularly visiting airports, quarantine facilities, hospitals, and seeing for myself along with my colleagues the implementation levels in the field. And in the initial stages itself, for monitoring the whole country, we allocated responsibilities to joint secretary level officers in the ministry to visit the various airports in the country and to visit the various hospital, to look for the various hospital preparedness and what's happening in the various ministries. So everything was being monitored in the early stages with the help of joint secretary level officers all over the country. Next slide, please. This is a slide which in fact depicts that we started, as I said earlier, We initiated all our responses for the health sector preparedness on 17th January itself. We started the point of entry surveillance and proactive and preemptive interministerial coordination as our focus areas. And this slide in fact shows that whether it was screening at the airports, whether it was screening at the seaports, or whether it was screening at the borders, especially with our neighboring country Nepal, we started it very early. And then we have a very robust integrated disease surveillance system in the country, and we started this community surveillance itself very early, around the same time on 17th of January. Then preparing for the personal protection kits, N95 masks, agents also, that we started doing very early. In the initial stages we started with 15 labs, and right now I think we have 124 government labs in the whole country and about 51 private labs with 16,000 collection centers all over the country. This slide of course tells us that it was on all the fronts that we started building our core capacities, whether it was logistics, laboratory testings. From the very beginning we imagined a situation where we could have great difficulties, so making the whole country prepared for isolation beds, critical care management, infection prevention. And then in the later slides we will tell you in detail that what did we do for ensuring that we communicate to the people of India what are the risks and what are the you can say health education measures, and what is that they need to change in their lifestyle. And then of course there is another slide which will later on depict how massively we did the capacity building, training of all types of people. Next slide. Can you change? Yes. This is the slide which depicts how robust our training mechanism has been, starting from airport health officials and immigration officials. We trained our state and district surveillance officers through video conferences, medical. You know, we evacuated over 2,500 people from 5-6 countries, like from China, Japan, Iran and Italy. Many of them were Indians who were stranded there, but even about 48 foreigners also we had evacuated. So we trained those medical evacuation teams for Wuhan, Yokohama, Iran, Italy, and of course the airline crew and the other handling staff. Quarantine medical teams were trained for patient management and infection prevention and control. State rapid response teams were trained for managing high risk pathogens. Then our NDMA, that's the Disaster Management Authority of the country, it convened meetings of the civil society organizations and 20 organizations, big organizations, and 300 NGOs. Then on 6th of March, we organized a national level training of trainers for specifically dedicated to all aspects of COVID-19 management. And here it was attended by 260 health professionals from states, ESI, railways, defense and other ministry. But the big thing was that at 1,000 locations in the country, people were logged in for this training, and thousands of related people, they got trained in a single day. And the focus areas were epidemiology, surveillance, laboratory support, clinical management, non-pharmaceutical interventions, infection prevention control and risk communication. Then followed by this national level training, on 9th and 11th of March we did state level trainings across the country, followed again by district level and hospital level trainings on 20th of March. And similarly there was an orientation workshop on 18th of March. And then on 21st March we have trained people in a big way on the usage of ventilators. Next. Can I have the next slide? Yes. This is about the surveillance that I talked about. We started this on 17th of January itself. As I said, the NDMA has organized these 147 training programs of CISF, customs, immigration, ground handling staff, and we had dedicated central teams which were trained, and they inspected all airports of the country. We started with 7 big airports in the country, but later on we extended everything to all the 30 international airports and for all the flights coming from anywhere in the world. And we screened about 14,154 flight passengers, and 15,25,000 passengers were screened during this period. Similarly, on our 12 major ports, seaports, and 65 non-major seaports, we screened 1,062 vessels, and 43,443 passengers / crew members were screened. When we got this information that Nepal got its first case, so the very same day we took a decision of screening everybody at the borders with Nepal. You see, we have 4 states in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Bengal, and then Sikkim, where we have borders with Nepal. And at these borders we continued this screening for a long time till even now, and we already screened 20,70,000 people there. And adjoining to these borders, we organized in villages 5,000 gram sabhas, because you see these borders are a bit porous, so we didn't take even a bit of chance, and we organized these gram sabhas in all our adjoining villages. Next slide. As I mentioned earlier, that from the 17th January, in fact, when we gave our detailed plan to the states about how do we actually start preparing ourselves, how do we start acting ourselves, on 18th January itself, the very next day, the community surveillance, we have a very robust integrated disease surveillance program in the country. We started that on 18th of January, and there was this monitoring through the state and district surveillance officers with the support of the rapid response teams. Advisories were issued to all the states and the union territories on 17th January for surveillance of every case which had a severe acute respiratory illness. And we developed an online portal for states to ensure name-based monitoring and surveillance. And today, when I talk to you, we are at the moment having 5,56,684 travelers who have been brought into community surveillance, and we are keeping a close watch on everything that they do, whether they are in homes, whether they are in quarantine. Almost for the older people, every day they are being contacted either through telephone or personal contact every second, third day. So it's a close watch on everybody's movement. We found 23,875 people symptomatic, and we referred 4,065 people to the hospitals. And this is on the right side, you can see this is our photograph of our portal, where every person who was put on surveillance, the states were recording the detailed identity of that person. Next. This is the slide which just depicts that we evacuated in spite of all these hardships and all these troubled times, and when many of these passengers were supposed to be positive, say from places like Iran or Italy, or initially from China and then from the ship in Japan, we brought 2,594 people to India, which had a significant number, 48 were foreigners, we kept them under quarantine here, and after 14 days when they tested negative, we discharged them after taking all sorts of precautions. Then next. This is this in fact tells you about the India's testing strategy. Our testing strategy has been guided by some of our best scientists, public health experts, and our doctors, clinicians, epidemiologists. And right now, you see, this is about, we had a very well defined criteria about who needs to be tested. And right now, apart from those who came from outside, their contacts, symptomatic contacts, and then we are also testing every case of acute respiratory illness in the country who gets admitted to the hospital. On the right side, you can see that we have right now developed 126 laboratories in the country, with 51 are private labs apart from these government labs. Our per day capacity of testing right now is 15,000. We can expand it further, and right now the last yesterday till 8 p.m. in a single day we had tested 5,654 people, and till now we have tested 53,605 people. This is the data of yesterday evening. Then next slide. This is how we, from the very first day, communicated to the people. You know, ours is a huge country with 1.35 billion people. So every day through daily press briefings at a fixed time, media releases, more than 7 million emails, risk communication material. You can see a sample of that on the slide. They were all distributed in various languages to people even in the villages. Experts talking about the whole subject continuously on panels, news discussions, TV spots, radio spots. We had shooted out almost 235 crore text messages to Indians, and then the one important thing that we did was that every telephone call in the country, whether it is for a person who lives in a village or a remote area or a tribal area, every telephone call for many days, and even now it begins with a caller tune message which starts with whatever is needed to be told to them about hand hygiene, about respiratory etiquettes, not touching the face, etc., social distancing. All these were communicated to everyone in this country regularly through caller tunes and messages in the phone. Videos of meetings of ministers, etc. All those things have been disseminated regularly through social media. We have used Twitter, Facebook, all sorts of social medias regularly. A 24/7 national control room and a toll-free number. And this control room till last week had received over 2 lakh calls and over 50,000 mails which are replied regularly. At the bottom of the whole slide, you can see that there were 241 positive articles which were written in the media, 92 press releases, 48 videos on YouTube, Facebook posts, tweets, press briefings. So we did practically everything possible to teach the country about what is that they need to do. Next slide. Then here itself in the risk communication, you know that on 22nd, we had the Prime Minister appealed to the whole country to observe a Janta curfew. And that was a day when voluntarily everybody stayed inside. In fact, it was a voluntary curfew where everybody participated. It was very successful. At 5 o'clock, people came out of their houses, and then in a symbolic manner, they conveyed their gratefulness to the medical community, doctors, nurses, and that was a unique, I think, event on 22nd of March, which was organized. And then we all know that on 25th of March, the Prime Minister declared a complete lockdown in the country. Then this next slide is about the hospital preparedness. We started about that from the very early stages. All the state and central government hospitals were advised for assessment of the various isolation beds, critical care facilities that could be created, etc. And then detailed guidelines have been issued by the Health Ministry on a regular basis. We have put everything that needs to be told to the people and the governments and the officials on our Health and Family Welfare Ministry's website, and on a daily basis we get something like 22 to 30 crore hits on our website these days. So that is the it is thoroughly comprehensive. Anything that anyone wishes to know about what's India doing, what are the guidelines for any class of people in the society, that's there on our website. So this issues, we had guidelines issued on surveillance, contact tracing, sample collection, packaging, transportation, infection prevention control, clinical management protocols, cluster containment plans, etc. We conducted regularly meetings with private hospitals to prepare them. Central hospitals were also advised for earmarking of isolation beds. Even now, right now, even railways has started preparing themselves to use the railway bogies, as you can say, for isolation beds in case of need. As on today, we have dedicatedly, pinpointedly fixed 1,52,865 beds exclusively for COVID patients, 33,136 ICU beds dedicated for that. And then we are right now promoting all over the country, in every city, every district, every state, to dedicate hospitals and hospital blocks exclusively for COVID patients, so that, like in some countries, we had the same to all the types of patients in one hospital, and learning from their experience where they suffered a little more. So we have now these dedicated hospitals are being notified by the states. And right now we have exclusively dedicated 16,446 ventilators, which are kept dedicated for these isolation beds, and 40,000 ventilators more. In fact, it is right now the number is 47,000 ventilators are in the pipeline, which we shall add to our list of these exclusive ventilators for this in the near future. Next. This slide again tells us that we have been, it's not about the health, but other issues also are being taken care of in the best possible manner, regulating non-essential services, minimizing social contact, and we shall be able to offer healthcare services to the most needy. How do we do that in lockdown? Ensuring availability of healthcare workers. We have ensured that even the retired people, the other people, all the people in the medical community, they are all being mobilized and institutionalized for any future events where we may need them. The availability of enough PPEs, medicines, isolation beds, ventilators, implementation of social distancing strategies. So this is this slide tells us that we have been proactively doing whatever is needed, and all our efforts have been like preemptive efforts, preemptive strikes. Recently, next slide. Recently, we have started a contact facility. It's a tele-consultation facility where all our doctors across the country who are treating COVID patients, they are online in telephonic teleconsultation with a dedicated team of pulmonologists at AIIMS in New Delhi, and with other specialists also. So it's all doctors in the country treating COVID patients are in touch with each other, so that we are able to discuss the treatment protocols, give the best treatment to our patients. Similarly, in this crisis itself, we finalized our telemedicine guidelines, we approved them, and now patients can seek advice from doctors even from remote locations, because there was earlier, since they were not notified and also there were legal issues and all. Now the pharmacies can deliver medicines at home after digital prescriptions. These are some of the ongoing actions. Next. This is in fact, apart from being the Union Health Minister, I also look after the Science and Technology Ministry. So this is the slide which tells you that simultaneously we have started action through our Science and Technology Ministry. In the Department of Science and Technology, out of over 500 startups, academia, R&D labs and industry in the area of diagnostics, drugs, ventilators, protection gear, disinfecting systems, etc., identified. More than 20 entities have submitted feasible proposals providing technological intervention. So simultaneously we are using this unfortunate COVID situation as a blessing in disguise. We are promoting our young entrepreneurs, scientists for giving good proposals, and then the Department of Biotechnology has formed a consortium for development of medical equipment, diagnostics, therapeutics, drugs and vaccines. So this is, and then again the Department of CSIR, that's our most prestigious organization, over 75 years old. This is also doing a lot of scientific activity about development of new technologies, development of new diagnostics which can give us results in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So a lot of activities happening simultaneously on the science front to discover new drugs, discover new vaccines, discover new technologies, and help to find out COVID-19 solutions. Next. As I said in the very beginning, we have been very fortunate to have a very dynamic leader, our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has been monitoring everything right from the very beginning of this whole lot of activities that we had to initiate in January, and he has been leading from the front. You know that he is the one who ultimately decided, and he declared the Janta curfew, the lockdown. He took the initiative in organizing a meeting of the SAARC nations, and it's not only the meeting that he suggested about the creation of a South Asian COVID-19 emergency fund. India pledged $10 million for that. He offered Indian rapid response teams of doctors, specialists and testers. Can we go to the next slide? Next slide. This is just a brief description that about the offer that the Prime Minister made to the SAARC nations about online training of SAARC nations, emergency response staff, assessment by regions, trade officials on impact on intra-regional development, sharing integrated health information platform software for diseases surveillance, using training website, set up for sharing information in SAARC languages also, using SAARC Disaster Management Center to identify and popularize best practices. ICMRs help to set up a research platform for sharing ideas for diagnosis and therapeutic interventions for disease. So this is in brief. In fact, there are large number of interventions we have done to organize the society, to keep everyone in the country in the loop, and as it seems, we are in control of the situation, but we are not complacent at all. We are taking all proactive measures to ensure that we do our best, and in the end I am praying that not only Indians but people all across the globe and in our region also, they should all be free of this COVID-19 menace as early as possible. Today is a very pious day in India. It's Ram Navami, and for India, and I think for the whole humanity, Lord Rama is a great human being who has inspired the whole humanity, and with his blessings we are hopeful that very soon we shall have a world which will be free of this menace. With these good wishes for all the fellow ministers and their countrymen, and of course thanking once again WHO, the regional office, and also the headquarters, which had made us, given us this privilege of listening to others, what is being done in other places, and then to learn from their experience and use the best practices of other countries also for the benefit of our own countrymen. Thank you everybody. Namaskar.